Great show for you guys tonight. We have our best, worst, and most anticipated video games of this year. So it's going to be a special episode.
And you have your best horror games as well.
And best horror games. So best horror games, best games overall, worst games overall, and most anticipated. It's going to be a banger. I'll let you see.
I was going to say you go first.
Well, I guess I can go first
Your
on my
channel.
thing.
So he's gonna go first. I know I'm voiced. I'm kind of like the radio. It's not the best. It's our list, and a lot of games you might remember, might not remember, might find something you might want to try. So hey, we are old as dirt.
We'll start with the best games list. So here we go. For number 20 for me, it is Super Mario. It was the iconic game that basically started everything. So Super Mario Brothers at number 20 for me. We are going to number 19, which is Duck Hunt, which is another one of my favorite games of all time for Nintendo. We're starting where it started at Nintendo, and we're working our way up. Number 18 for me is 007 GoldenEye, probably one of the best games ever made, especially for the N64. GoldenEye is an absolute banger. If you haven't played GoldenEye, guys, definitely check it out. I know it's hard to go back to play it on the N64, but I think they redid it for the PlayStation, so if you have PlayStation, you can come back and try it. Or Xbox, I believe it's on there too. 007 GoldenEye, top-notch game. Coming in at number 18. At number 17, we got Friday the 13th, the original game for Nintendo. One of the best games ever made at its time. The F-13 game for Nintendo. Obviously, a few years later, F-13 was revived by Gun Media, who brought out Friday the 13th, the game, for the PS4, which lasted a little while. It had a decent enough run. Obviously, the lawsuit kind of took over, and we lost some of the content that we were supposed to get for that. But F-13, the game, not bad. But we're going with the original F-13 for Nintendo. Top-notch, one of the best games ever made. Number 16, we're sticking on the horror genre, because obviously, why not? Nightmare on Elm Street. The original Elm Street game for Nintendo was an absolute banger. One of the best games. The point of the game was you had to actually go around the things and pick up bones to throw at Freddy to defeat Freddy Krueger in different levels. Nightmare on Elm Street, top-notch. Nintendo, one of the best games I've ever played. Trying to find it now is very difficult because it's such an old game on Nintendo. But, hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. It's definitely one of the top tier games for me is the Nightmare on Elm Street game. Coming in at number 16. Coming in at number 15, guys, we have another absolute banger. We have Resident Evil. Basically, for us horror fans, the game that started it all. RE1 for the PS1. Absolutely incredible game. I really loved RE1. It became to blossom into probably one of the best horror series of all time, I would think. Definitely, Resident Evil is definitely up there as one of the top horror series. RE1 was fantastic. RE2, 3, 4 kind of slipped off a little bit. Resident Evil 5, 6, they really lost it. But the recent revives of Resident Evil with the remasters of RE2 and RE3 and RE4, absolutely incredible on the PS5 and next-gen consoles. It's really well done. They've done a great job with it. Biohazard was a solid release. Also sticking with Resident Evil. Village was also a solid release too. I really enjoyed Village. Definitely super pumped for Resident Evil 9. Hopefully coming next year, maybe the year after. I'm definitely excited for RE9. It's going to be a great game. Resident Evil, top-notch, number 15 for me. Number 14 coming in, we got Ratchet & Clank for the PS5. Definitely a great game. It was one of the first games that we actually got to see kind of what the PS5 was like and what the graphics and the gameplay was like for the PS5 for that time. Ratchet & Clank was definitely one of those games that was absolutely really cool. It was neat to play it, to, you know, experience the controller, the DualSense. All that stuff was absolutely awesome. Coming in at number 13 for me is Batman Arkham Asylum. Great game. I love the Arkham series. They were one of the best games that they've done. This was a highlight for me for Rocksteady. Kevin Conroy, obviously, as Batman, fantastic, top tier. May he rest in peace. Thank you, Kevin Conroy, for so many great memories as Batman. You were absolutely fantastic. The Batman from my childhood, for sure. Growing up watching the animated series, definitely gotta love Kevin Conroy as Batman. Mark Hamill as the Joker is absolutely incredible, too. But Tara Strong absolutely nails it as Harley Quinn in this game. Fantastic game. If you haven't played it, so good. You have great taste. Thank you. Hi. Coming in at number 12 for me is Street Fighter. Now, I love the Street Fighter games. Not so much the newer ones. They're okay. But the retro style Street Fighter, that was absolutely amazing. Street Fighter was incredible. I definitely love Street Fighter. English or Spanish? English. Yeah, Street Fighter was sick. One of my favorite games of all time. Coming in at number 11 is Mortal Kombat. Now, Mortal Kombat for me is one of my absolute favorite games. I remember purchasing MK1. I believe it was on Sega. I'll let you do the research and see what system it came on. I think it was Sega Genesis.
Which game?
Mortal Kombat, the original.
The original first one?
The first one, yeah.
Oh, I'll look in a second. Just fixing my...
Messi or Ronaldo. They're both great soccer players. They're both fantastic.
1 second.
Messi's great. Ronaldo's great. They're both awesome players for sure. Yeah, we're just going to try to find out which system Mortal Kombat was, the original one, but that's my favorite one. Obviously, the boss fight with Goro at the end was absolutely amazing. You can't obviously get better than MK, and to see the progression for Mortal Kombat has done from all the games from like MK1, 2, 3, basically all the way to where they are today with the MK1 game is they've definitely come a long way from where they were when they started to where they are now, and I think they're still one of the top premier fighting games on console for sure is Mortal Kombat. GTA is absolutely sick. I love GTA as well. Coming in at number 10 for me is Outlast and Outlast 2. Now, if you're big horror fans and you love horror games and you love things that jump up and scare you, do I have the game for you? Outlast 1 and Outlast 2 will absolutely scare the living daylights out of you. All in good fun. All in good fun with Outlast 2. It is fantastic. Outlast 1 is equally as fantastic. Just the intenseness of going around, trying to keep your flashlight lit while all these things are coming after you, trying to survive, trying to do the objectives. Absolutely one of the top tier games for sure. Jason games are really cool. The original one on Nintendo we talked about earlier, that one came in at number 17 as one of the best games. It was really, really ahead of its time. We also touched on F-13, the game, which was not bad for its time, even though when it first launched, F-13, the game wasn't working properly. I had a lot of issues with it at launch, but it blossomed into a great game overall. And coming in at number 9 for me, now I'm going to go way, way back, Doom. But I ain't talking about Doom that you see today. No. I'm talking about Doom from the PC days, the original one. Floppy disk. I'm talking about floppy disk Doom. Where it took me literally 8 discs to install the one game. But Doom, it has definitely stood the chance of time. It has been like one of the amazing games. The original Doom was my absolute favorite. I ran through that game so many times over. I can't even remember it. I played it like too many times. Played through it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Beat it every time. Absolutely love Doom. Doom definitely started it for me, for sure. Coming on at number 8, guys, is Heavy Rain. Dark Deception. I haven't tried that one. I don't know if that one's any good, but let me know about that one. Heavy Rain, for me, was a fantastic game, too. Great storytelling. The gameplay was fun. It was just really well put together. I really enjoyed Heavy Rain. Decent game. That's why it's coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, a little controversial, Call of Duty Ghost. But only for one reason. How cool was Call of Duty Ghost when you could play as Michael Myers as a kill streak? You unlocked it by going on like a 5, 6, 7 kill streak tier, and then you come as Michael Myers, who's basically invincible, and you're mowing people down with an axe, and it's in the cabin. It's like, it's the perfect. It was great for that alone. Not the story was okay. It's a decent story, but Call of Duty Ghost coming in at number 7. Michael Myers sold me on that one for sure. Coming in at number 6, and this is a tough one because this is probably one of my all-time favorite game series. You love Heavy Rain. Yeah, Heavy Rain was a fantastic game. Coming in at number 6, and it was tough to put this one together, is Uncharted. The Uncharted series for me has basically been like the pinnacle of video games, with amazing storytelling, amazing graphics, puzzles that are not overly challenging, but are fun to complete. Nathan Drake with his quick little chirps and all his little sayings and stuff really stuck with me. The characters are truly unforgettable and Uncharted. Definitely for me, it goes at number 6 as one of the best games that I've ever played. The whole entire series has been fantastic. I loved every one of them. Uncharted is definitely a great game. If you haven't played Uncharted yet, guys, I highly recommend Uncharted. You will not be disappointed. If you haven't played it, you will absolutely love it. Great game. Coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, horror fans, we're back again with another banger. We're back with a little game that had Hayden Panettiere in it. We're talking about Until Dawn. Which, for those fans who love Until Dawn, it's coming back. And it's coming back for next-gen consoles. It's being remastered for the PlayStation 5. So, if you loved Until Dawn like I did, edge-of-your-seat action, picking and choosing kind of who makes it through the game, who doesn't make it through the game. Until Dawn there, let you get some of the comments there as I'm doing off the thing there. Do you play Roblox?
I couldn't do.
Cousins do?
I don't. And it's an Mortal Kombat 1 was an arcade game before the consoles.
True. But yeah, Until Dawn is absolutely a fantastic game, guys. If you haven't played Until Dawn, highly, 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 highly recommended. Like, highly recommended. It is top-tier horror game. One of the best. Coming in at number 4, we have Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 for the PS5, PS4. And I didn't put Miles Morales in there. It wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't one of my favorites of the series. Spider-Man 1 for sure over Spider-Man 2. They're both absolutely fantastic games. Amazing storytelling. Super fun. Gameplay was like on point. It was like really fun. We were swinging around. The fighting mechanisms were perfect. The suits were awesome. You got all kinds of different suits from the movies, which I really thought were fantastic. Spider-Man is an overall really well put together game. That's why Spider-Man comes in, guys, at number 4. Number 3 for me, Horizon Zero Dawn. The Horizon series has its ups and downs. Obviously, if you've played Forbidden West, it went through a little bit of a rough patch where it was on the PS4 and it wasn't running properly, and it was on 30 frames per second on next-gen consoles. But overall, I got to finish Forbidden West as well as Zero Dawn, and those two games are definitely on my top list because they were absolutely fantastic storytelling. Gameplay was fun. You were fully immersed in the game, and that's kind of what you want as a gamer, to be fully immersed in the games and really enjoy what you're playing. Because if you really enjoy the game that you're playing, you're obviously going to play it to the end and play through it the whole game. And for me, Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West definitely did that for me. They were fantastic games. I really enjoyed both of them. So that's why Horizon comes in, guys, at number 3. Number 2, guys, and this was tough to try to think of what to put in number 2. So number 2 is getting 2 games. God of War and God of War Ragnarok. Now, they really revamped this series and made it absolutely exceptional on next-gen consoles. God of War and God of War Ragnarok were two of the best games I've ever played. Huge fan of the God of War series. It fully immerses you into the story. Playing as Kratos was so much fun. Killing the different monsters, the different environments, how well they were put together. It was amazing. So, God of War comes in at number 2, as well as God of War Ragnarok, which is also coming in at number 2. Coming in at number 1, guys, let me take my drink and I'll get into the number 1 game that you guys have all been waiting for. Coming in for me, guys, at number 1 is, drum roll please. That's a bad drum roll, but I'll work on that. The Last of Us. Now, if you haven't played The Last of Us, guys, on the PS4 or the PS5, because they did bring it back out again, this game is chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, 100%. The Last of Us, the original one, was absolutely fantastic. I really love The Last of Us. Amazing storytelling. Troy Baker was fantastic as Joel. It's just an overall really exciting, edge-of-your-seat, action-packed video game. From start to finish, amazing storytelling. Even creepy at points. It definitely had its, it had its scary moments too. But for me, The Last of Us is hands down, for me anyways, the best game of all time. It's debatable. There is other games that are out there for sure, but for me, The Last of Us is absolutely top tier. The best game I've ever played on either console. If it would be PS5, PS4, whatever console, Last of Us was absolutely incredible. I'm gonna let my buddy dig into his top 10 or 20 games. And then we're gonna dive into the horror games, the worst games, and we'll end off with our most anticipated. So let him take over and dive into his list of best games.
Oh boy.
And we will see you shortly.
This is gonna be long.
Wait, how many did you put?
I got a lot. I couldn't think of so many. I'll do mine quickly so we can get the animated back. I got 41s. I played a lot of games as a child. It won't take me long. My 41st favorite game of all time is NBA Jam. One of my all-time favorite sports games. I'd love to see that come back to the new gens. I really
get
would.
to the comments there.
And then Celebrity Deathmatch is another one of my favorite games. I put The Simpsons Wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan, so Simpsons Wrestling made the list. Reading off the list was annoying. The Ghostbusters video game. This game I love because it was the third movie for so long until, the other movies showed up. The Epic Mickey franchise. I love those games. I pre-ordered the new one, so it is coming to the 5 and series systems. If you want to try it, if you haven't. Space Jam, the video game. Another movie game I really liked. It was when you could play as Jordan. I'm blanking at the moment. Chippendale Rescue Rangers 1 and 2. I still play those games today on the PS5. They're PS4 remaster. I do love games like that. I also put Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those ones.
I enjoyed them. I don't play a lot of rated M games. My friend will tell you. I don't play rated M. I play Martine and everybody like rated E, but those are two of my favorites. My next one is the Uncharted series to a whole. I can't decide on one of them. I love the series. I'm actually replaying them as we speak today. So another one on my list is Rift Apart, Ratchet and Clank. As my friends already said everything, I don't need to say anything about that game. My friend said it all, thank God. 24 is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I'm sorry, I can't see what I'm writing. That was my favorite Sonic game. It really showed the character, blah, blah, blah. This is a Super Nintendo game I really liked. It was Donkey Kong Country. I wish we were able to play it now. I mean, I'm thinking of getting the Switch because you can play those old games. 22 is WWF Raw, one of my all-time favorite WWE games. For Marshall of Love, James Bond. I'm a big James Bond nut. I got the books, the movies. I love them. That was one of my favorites in the series. You'll hear GoldenEye as well. The Batman Arkham series to a whole. Another great series for me. Batman's my favorite superhero, and my other superheroes, I'll tell you, they'll be in my list as well. The Super Mario Brothers, the first 3 are my all-time favorite Mario games. I had Super Mario 1 with Duck Hunt together as a dual purchase. I found something about Duck Hunt after. Where am I? Batman 1989, the video game, the first movie game. It's another movie game I really like. I'm sorry if I am stuttering. Yikes. GoldenEye, another James Bond game I really liked. Yes, they remade it, and they have remade it with Craig. It's stupid. I hate the remake of it, but they did. Pac-Man. I'm at the age when me and my friend used to go to the arcade and put coins in to play games like Mortal Kombat 1, The Simpsons arcade, that we'll talk about in a little later, and Pac-Man. We're all on arcade. So a lot of the young guns fans here probably don't know if they have arcades anymore around the world. If they do, I'd be very surprised and happy. Another one on my list is Resident Evil 8. That's my favorite Resident Evil game. Again, not big on rated M, but my friend got me into Resident Evil. Another one, so I got to pick it up here, is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie game.
Dave and Buster's, nice, that's cool.
Oh, there you go. There, I didn't know that. That's cool. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the video game for the movie. Another one I liked, X-Men Origins Wolverine, my first ever rated M game. I can be laughed at for that. The Spider-Man 1 and 2 for PlayStation 5 and 4. The Last of Us 1 and 2. I like both games too. It just frustrates all of us. Turtles in Time. There's my other favorite superhero team. Number 2 for me, Simpsons Arcade. I touched on that a little bit. My friend and I used to play that together quite a lot when we were kids. I would like to see a Simpsons Arcade, like the Cowabunga Collection, with Simpsons Wrestling, Simpsons Arcade. And my favorite video game of all time, it's not PlayStation. It's Super Nintendo's Mario Kart, the very first game, is my all-time favorite. I guess go to my worst, and then you can jump in.
I'll do the worst, then you can do your worst.
Yeah, see.
Then I'll do the horror games. Or let's do horror games first.
Do what you want. I didn't try not to do it again.
Alright guys, we're going to dig into the top horror games, and then I'm going to get into my worst list, and then my buddy will take over and he'll get into his worst list. These will be short because it's only 10. So these are my 10 best horror games if you're interested in horror games for any console. Are you ready? Number 10, Until Dawn. We touched on it. One of my all-time favorite games. It's coming back, fully remastered for the PS5 and next-gen consoles. If you haven't checked out Until Dawn, it is definitely worth the purchase, guys. Coming in at number 9, Slender Man: The Arrival. One of the absolute scariest games when you're running through the woods with nothing. And Slender Man is coming after you, and the screen shakes, and he scares the living daylights out of you. Slender Man: The Arrival comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is a PC game called Fear, which was a first-person shooter horror game. Really well done. Again, they'd have this creepy girl come onto the screen, scare the living daylights out of you, and he'd play on again. Fear is definitely up there. Now, number 7 and number 6 are both tied into each other. Number 7 is Layers of Fear. Absolutely fantastic game. It's an indie horror game. If you're big on indie games, and you love indie games, and you love horror movies and horror games, definitely check out Layers of Fear. You won't be disappointed. It is absolutely fantastic. Layers of Fear 2 is even creepier because they have horror legend, the Candyman himself, Tony Todd, narrating the game for you. If that's not enough to make your spine tingle and give you nightmares while playing, I don't know what is. Layers of Fear 2 comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, Resident Evil Biohazard. This was one of my absolute favorite Resident Evil games. Reminded me a lot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as you're crawling on your own with this really weird family and they're trying to take you out. It is definitely one of the better Resident Evil games. Biohazard comes in at number 5. First-person shooter, too, which is interesting kind of how they did it in first person. But for me, one of the better Resident Evil games. Obviously, in horror, we got to stick with Resident Evil again. So coming in at number 4, classics RE2 and RE3. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, some of the best horror games that they've ever made. Obviously, you can't have great horror games unless you have Resident Evil, and Resident Evil has been a king in horror for quite a long time, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're only going to get better as time goes on, especially with the next game. I think is going to be even better. The next game coming in is a newer game, and actually was one of the best games I've played last year. Coming in at number 3 for the top 10 horror games, Alan Wake 2. If you're big fans of Alan Wake 2 is definitely one of those games that fully immerses you with a fantastic story, and at the same time scares the living daylights out of you as the screen flashes, as these monsters pop out. Jump scares galore, especially in the second one. If you love that kind of stuff, Alan Wake 2, guys, is absolutely for you. Fantastic game. If you haven't tried it yet or checked it out, and you want to, definitely check out Alan Wake, guys. Alan Wake 2, you will not be disappointed. The story is fantastic. They're adding more content to it. It'll scare the crap out of you, what you want in a horror game. And definitely one of the better ones. So that's why Alan Wake 2 comes in at number 3. Coming in at number 2. Now, this game was recently remastered, and I didn't mind the remaster. I thought it was great. I'm talking about Dead Space. Now, this is an EA game, but Dead Space was absolutely fantastic when it launched for the PS4 a long time ago. Dead Space was amazing. You are stuck on a spaceship with monsters everywhere, and you have to find a way to get out of there. Incredible game. But sticking on the monster thing and stuck in spaceships, if you want another great horror game, guys, while we're at it, Alien Isolation is enough to make your skin crawl, enough to make you jump through the screen, because it is one of the creepiest alien games I've ever played. Survival horror, so obviously you gotta hide from the aliens as they come out and attack you. Alien Isolation, guys, basically is really cool. But Dead Space, guys, it comes in at number 2. And number 1 for me for the best horror games of all time, I'm talking about Outlast. Outlast 1, Outlast 2, two of the most amazing indie horror games I've ever played. Outlast has that creepy atmosphere where you're playing objectives, you're trying to run away from these guys that are all trying to kill you, and you're trying to find batteries for your flashlight as further you go into these levels. Outlast does a really good job at telling a great story and scaring you all at the same time. So definitely don't recommend playing Outlast with the lights off, because you'll have nightmares. Outlast is creepy, and Outlast is my number 1 horror game, guys. So there we have it for the horror games. I'm going to jump into my worst list, and then I'll let my buddy take over with his worst list. Unless he's got horror games, I don't know. You got horror games? No? Alright. I'll let him jump into the worst list in a second, and I'll get into mine. The floor is open to you guys. You can feel free to comment if you want. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can as we're doing the show and as we're going through the list. So what are your guys' top games of all time? What games do you guys like? What are some horror recommendations for horror games? What are your worst games? What games are you guys most excited about? Alrighty, guys, we're going to dive into my worst games. But yeah, feel free to comment, guys, with your games, your favorite games, worst games, best games, most anticipated. We'd love to hear from all of you. You guys are what makes the channel go, so definitely appreciate every one of you. Coming in at number 10 for me for the worst games, Gotham Knights. A game that was promising at first until you played it at 20 frames per second. Or sometimes felt like less than that. It was just an unpolished, not very well put together game that had a lot of potential that just failed. Coming in at number 9, WWE 2K20. One of the most broken, horrible games that's ever been out there. WWE 2K20 was an absolute gong show of a game. Coming in at number 8, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Now this was an Atari game, but it's been known as one of the absolute worst games ever made. E.T. the Extraterrestrial comes in at number 8. Number 7, Lord of the Rings Gollum. Enough said, I don't need to go any further into Lord of the Rings Gollum. We all know it's bad. We all know why. The studio shut down, it was so bad. Number 2 for me, or number 2, sorry. Number 6 for me is Watch Dogs 2, which is absolutely atrocious. One of the worst games. Terrible. The first Watch Dogs was not bad. The second one, not great. Not a big fan of the Watch Dogs game. Well, not the second one, at least. The first one was good. Coming in at number 5, Crime Boss. Rockay City. How about Crappy City? How about terrible voice acting? People going through walls. Bad guy. It's just a disorganized cluster F of a game. It is so bad. That is why Crime Boss Rockay City comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4. Pains me to put a horror game on here, but I have to put a horror game on here, guys. Alone in the Dark did not lead up to its hype at all. It was the equivalent of a wet fart. It was absolutely terrible. You went through things. The shooting mechanism was way off. The story was okay. The graphics were not remastered at all. They were old graphics just reskinned as like a PlayStation 5 game. It was terrible. I don't have a clue what they were thinking. They lost a lot of people at the studio after putting out this game. I don't even know why they put out this game. They should have delayed this game, took their time and made it better, what we all expected it would have been. Pains me to put Alone in the Dark in here, but Alone in the Dark, guys, it comes in at number 4. It was terrible. Coming in at number 3 for me, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. One of the worst in the series. My favorite one, obviously, is Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Two of the best. 5 was absolutely horrible. Coming in at number 2 for me, Cyberpunk 2077. This game had potential too, and promise. This was on pace to be one of the biggest games, but unfortunately at the time when they were trying to make it for the next-gen console and for the 4, something got lost in translation there, and it just was a complete disaster of sorts, and it was just bad. It didn't live up to the hype at all. It was terrible. It was one of the worst games ever put out there. Cyberpunk 2077, coming in at number 2. And number 1 for me, guys, drum roll please, the worst game for me. And this pains me to have this game at number 1 too, because this game had promise, had potential. It was on talks of being one of the biggest games of 2024. I'm talking Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Ugh. Why? Why did we get that mess? It was bad. It was bricked at launch. Couldn't play it. It was broken. You couldn't do anything with it. I thought twice about pre-ordering this. I eventually dove into it when I pre-ordered. I'm like, okay, maybe things will change. Maybe it'll be a little bit better. I dove into it at this point, and I highly regret it. Missions were repetitive. Story was okay. It's your typical Arkham story. Not bad. Not bad, not great. But the repetitiveness got too much. Just the whole atmosphere of the game being broken at launch and just all the issues with that game. And that, folks, is why Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is number 1 for me in the worst games of all time. I'll let my buddy dig in with his worst games, and then we'll dive into the main event of the evening, guys. The most anticipated games of all time. Or 2024, 25, whatever it is. But I'll let him dive in.
1 second.
Oh, Christ. Oh.
All right, give me 1 second there. I couldn't find it. It disappeared on me there. Mine, I'll say quickly if I can get to his main event thing. Marvel's Avengers is number 11 for me. It was an online game, PS4. I don't think it ever came to us, did it? I don't think it ever came to the 5. If it did,
It did, yeah.
it was PS4 basically. 10, he already mentioned Suicide Squad. 2K20, WWE at 9. Hogwarts Legacy. I beat the game. It was just walking. You think of Harry Potter, you don't think of them on their feet. Conker's Bad for a Day, one of the worst N64 games ever. I hated it. Dr. Mario Tetris, another game I didn't like as a kid. I had it, the game. Pong, first ever, nothing to do there. Fight Forever. Sorry, the game just died on it. We got lied to. There was a loss in translation in that game, and we basically were robbed with a version we got right there. Predator, the game. That was bad. Rumble Rose, the complete series. It's a wrestling game, but terrible Japanese wrestling game. And ET, I used to have it on for Atari, and it was god awful. Anything like no other games I can say are bad at the time. Those are ones I played that were not good. I can put 2K22 technically there if I wanted to. Anything 2K's done with the wrestling series hasn't been great. They've taken things out. So yeah, 2K series as a whole hasn't been great, but I think 20 takes the cake. And I don't know that many for anticipated.
I'll let you do your anticipated.
Mine are short. My most anticipated is the Wrestling Code. No idea when that coming out. Spider-Man 3 just got announced. Venom vs. Carnage, another game that just got announced. Wolverine, I'm a big X-Men fan. Wolverine, and Uncharted 5 is coming. That's a game I'm kind of intrigued on where they're going to end the I thought they ended the series before. Here comes 5. So if anybody who likes the series, 5 is coming back. I think the movie got more people's eyes on it, so maybe that's where 5 is coming. And I'll let him end it since he said it's the main event.
The main event of the evening, guys. Are you ready?
I said.
My top 5 most anticipated games this year and next year. Coming in at number 5, and we're only about a month away from this game, actually. I'm talking about Star Wars Outlaws coming in at number 5 for me. Huge fan of the Star Wars series. I actually didn't mind Jedi Knight, or was it Jedi Knight or
Fallen Order?
Fallen Order.
Something like that.
I like those games. They were really well done. I'm intrigued with Star Wars Outlaws. I'm intrigued with where they go with this one. I like that they've included a lot of the classic characters and brought them into it. I think that's going to be awesome. Definitely intrigued to where Star Wars goes with Star Wars Outlaws, and that's coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 for me, guys, Doom the Dark Ages. Now, once I seen this trailer for Doom the Dark Ages, oh, it looked absolutely incredible. I was like, this is my kind of game. I love the Doom series, and Doom Dark Ages definitely looks like it's going to be one of the best games coming next year. I'm definitely intrigued on that one. Super excited. Another one coming in for me at number 3 is a game called Judas, which reminds me a lot of another game, one of my favorite games that I didn't include on there, and that's BioShock. Judas has a lot of BioShock in it. It feels like a BioShock kind of game. So that for me is enough to intrigue me enough to put it at number 3 as my most anticipated games. Coming in at number 2 is Marvel 1943, The Rise of Hydra, which recently just got announced. It looks pretty good. I'm intrigued with where they go with this one. Graphics are on point. I think they showed off Black Panther, Captain America. It looks absolutely incredible. Definitely really intrigued with where they go with this one. My number 1, guys, now there's 2 of them for number 1. Wolverine is definitely up there for me, but I can't necessarily put it number 1 yet because there's no date for it. So we're waiting. We're kind of lost in limbo with when it's coming out. We don't know. It's anticipated, so that's why it's kind of in a tie, but my most anticipated game, guys, oh, it's the obvious. GTA 6. If you're not excited about GTA 6, there's something wrong, because GTA 6 looks like it's going to be the absolute best Grand Theft Auto game ever made. I am definitely intrigued for GTA 6. I was super hyped when they launched the trailer for GTA 6, and I can't wait to get my hands on this game and be able to play it. I am so stoked for GTA 6. That's why GTA 6 is coming in at number 1, guys, on my most anticipated games for this year. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video game episode. Hope it was everything that you guys wanted in a video game episode. If there's anything that you think that we could do better, let us know. We're here, guys. Yeah, if there's any games that you want to talk about anytime, we'll open the floor to you guys at any point. If you like wrestling, we'll have wrestling content for you guys coming too, as we're probably going to dive into a post-show for Money in the Bank. So if you're big fans of WWE and you're intrigued at Money in the Bank, we might break it all down for you guys, so stay tuned for that episode coming. Also, more great content always. You know, if you want video game content, you want anything, you know where to go. You know what's the lounge. You know we're here to hang out with you guys. So hopefully you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for those of you who tuned into the live. If you haven't got a chance to tune into the live, you know it'll be on the website. So one more time for the guy just joining us, my top 5 games anticipated: Star Wars Outlaws at number 5, Doom the Dark Ages at number 4, Judas at number 3, Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra at number 2, and my number 1 most anticipated game, guys, Grand Theft Auto 6. GTA 6. Number 1 most anticipated game. I can't wait for it. I know you guys can't wait for it. Let me know your most anticipated games, guys, in the comments. Thank you so much. We have 111 subscribers, which I am absolutely over the moon with. You guys are incredible. 111 subscribers. Keeping them strong. Let's go for 200, guys. We're getting close. We're definitely getting close. Let's get to 200. We can get there. With the help of you guys, I know we can. So thank you guys so much for joining into the video. We hope you guys have a great night. Definitely check it out on the channel on the lounge. Only where the best stuff is on the lounge, baby. See you on the next one.